Hey, hey, hey! The mysterious Paper MB here. A strange spin-off of your usual MB with no clear explanation as to why the art style is different or to why everything is made of paper now. So, let's talk about the Paper Mario series. And I have to say, it took me a long time to get used to this series. Now, I loved Mario RPG when I was a kid, but when Mario RPG 2 was originally announced and then became Paper Mario, I was interested at first, but since they did change the game so much, I felt a little betrayed and offended. So for those reasons, I didn't really play Paper Mario or Thousand Year Door until I got to college and I had time to get around to them. The first Paper Mario game I actually played was Super Paper Mario because at that time, they falsely advertised it as a side-scroller, and there hadn't been a side-scroller Mario for a few years, so I fell for that trap. But since then, I played all the old games, I played all the new games, and honestly, most of them have not left a good impression on me. Like, the only one I barely remember is Sticker Star, because that was also trying to be a side-scroller, but then it pissed everyone off with how short it was. And I played the Paper Mario that came out on the Wii U recently, and although I know I beat it, I remember nothing about it aside from it really reminded me of Splatoon. And made me wish I was playing Splatoon. So anyhow, I was very pleasantly surprised this summer when Origami King came out. What I thought was going to be another forgettable Paper Mario adventure actually turned out to be literally the most epic Mario adventure I have seen in many years. It could just be that I was super busy this year, but it took me about 30 hours to beat this game, and that stretched out over 5 weeks, and it really felt like it took forever. So here are the good things about this one. It very welcomely brings back the partner system from the earlier Paper Mario games, although the partners you get this time are not 100% dependable. Also, Luigi is in this one, and although he has a relatively proactive role in the story, I appreciate it that he didn't just get shafted before or after his typical cameo. And now speaking of the partners, instead of your typical flying yellow piece of crap that follows Mario around and does his talking for him, in this game you get Olivia, the Origami Princess, a flying yellow piece of crap that follows Mario around and does the talking for him. But I guess she kind of sounds like an extra from Adventure Time, and when all is said and done, she was probably the best character I've ever seen play this role in the story, and she had a lot of heart and a lot of unique quirks that kind of factored majorly into the overall plot. So on the topic of the plot, it also has a really deep storyline. It has very well developed characters, more well developed than any previous Paper Mario game I remember. And I'll come back to that later because of the spoilers involved. Now, on the flip side, the biggest flaw of the game is the battle system. The battle system is lazy as hell, and it's ironic that it all takes place on this stupid Lazy Susan kind of thing. It's like a bad remix of what the battle system usually is in the series, but now they're kind of like a puzzle, and the first 2 worlds, the puzzles are easy to solve, but then after that, they become almost impossible because there are so many enemies, and you have to juggle that with the low number of turns to figure them out in. And then to top that all off, you don't get EXP in this game, or you don't level up at all. All defeating the enemies really does is allows you to buy items that will make the battles go by faster. So really the battles in this game are just a roadblock towards finishing the story. And that all feels like garbage, especially when you want to spend money on the huge selection of upgrades and collectible MacGuffins. And on top of that, since you can't get any stronger, that puts all the bosses in this game into a really tough category, where the only way to beat them is to expertly memorize everything they can possibly do to you, and then be prepared to masterfully counterattack all of it. Like, I could have avoided a good number of regular enemies in the stages, because they were just obstacles towards the fun, but when I got to the bosses, those were just brutal. So now let's begin the spoiler section of the video. Honestly, I'm going to go over a bunch of things that really made me happy in this game, and what they were. Like, with the different worlds in this game, considering that you've all played like a bajillion Mario games by now, and we all know that usually they hit all the same story beats, with where you go and what happens, this one actually satisfactorily mixes things up. Like every major world has this elemental temple, and then the end of the stage is kind of like a fortress with like a major boss. So both of these are like major sections to each world. So I feel like the game was trying to make itself more interesting by doubling up the amount of content inside it. So now here's some cool stuff I personally noticed about the first world. The boss of the first world is the Earth Elemental. And the Earth Elemental was in this cave, and it was kind of weird, but it actually really reminded me of this trip I took to Korea 10 years ago, when I went to this cave museum in Ulsan, which had a very weird but similar layout to the coincidentally specific cave museum that leads up to the Earth Elemental. And also, when I was in Korea, I went up to Seoul Observation Tower, and sure enough, the first end boss in the first world is in an observation tower, which is on a mountain, just like the one at Seoul. And it has a restaurant inside, just like the one at Seoul. It feels like a very purposeful move that maybe someone else took the same trip to Korea I did. Or maybe I'm just grasping at straws. Anyway, then the second world is sort of like a canyon area. There's the Water Elemental Temple, and then you end up in a massive samurai theme park. Now, going more into the coincidences, I happen to know that there's a massive theme park almost exactly like this in Kyoto, very close to where Nintendo's headquarters is, so I have to wonder if that was the inspiration behind that one. And then the third world is a mine shaft leading to a desert, leading to an elaborate Las Vegas-like casino city. And it has some very nicely executed desert driving sections, and although this section did mess me up, because there's this really stupid part where you're trying to find Professor Toad, and he says you need to get this incense from a sniffet, but literally every fucking person in the desert city is sniffets. On top of that, with the incense quest, you have to bring the incense stick to an incense burner, and for like a good day or so, I thought the incense burner was the incense, because incense has incense in it. Whatever. Anyway, I only completed the stupid quest by complete stupid luck, because I literally talked to every single stupid sniffet in the entire stupid city. And then the fourth world of the game is like literally the entire game of Zelda the Wind Waker. You get the islands, the sea charts, the whole kit and caboodle. And it culminates in a very Zelda-like ancient tower, on top of which there's this hideous roll of tape that acts like Donald Trump. And, wow. Games are political now. So then the fifth world has this very cool heaven and hell vibe, which culminates in you going to Bowser's Castle. And now I want to get into the story. So, first of all, the saddest part of the game was when Bobby the Bob-omb died. That hit me really hard. Like, he was a great partner character. I mean, I can't remember the last time I really cared about a character like that dying, let alone just a Bob-omb. I mean, you know, those things die all the time, but here, like, they made it deep. And I have to say, this was honestly, like, one of the more disturbing Mario games I've ever played. Like, there are a lot of creepy moments in this game. For example, there's this one boss battle where you fight a giant Buzzy Beetle in Bowser's Castle. Except it's covered with the still alive shredded pieces of Bowser's minions. And what the fuck is that? This scene is literally treated like the Gin Man scene from Devilman, and it invokes almost the same sort of emotion. Like, considering that they're both turtles, I borderline think this was on purpose. Like, it feels like a direct reference. Like, oh god! Every second they're living is non-stop pain! I have to murder them to save them! Well, shit. Oh, and what the fuck are these things? I didn't call for Slender Man. Oh my god, I hate them. Get them away, they scare me. And then continuing on that body horror train, the Origami version of Peach is just played for pure horror the entire time. And then later in the game, she gets physically incorporated into the Origami King's castle, and that's also pretty horrendous. And considering that in the end of the game, the events were ultimately simply undone, And also, when you consider that they never showed her recovering from this particular situation, I kinda have to wonder if Peach died in this game. Like, I think we saw her die. So anyway, finally, in terms of the final body count, there was one more traumatic death in this game. Spoilers here for the ending again, but since Olivia ultimately sacrifices herself by wishing to undo all the origami in the kingdom and everything they did, she killed herself. Like, I mean, she sacrificed herself, but wow, like, I really liked her and she died. Damn, no wonder Olivia got more character development than a typical piece of garbage Starlo or Navi or whatever. I actually feel bad she died. Well, that's pretty much all I majorly have to say about this one. Paper Mario the Origami King gets an 8 out of 10 because, while I will say it was literally the best Paper Mario game ever made, it just wasn't the best game ever made. So, I mean, it's fundamentally a kid game, and the battle system is just atrocious. But I will say that when I did beat it, it did give me this really warm, special feeling that I haven't felt in a Mario game since, like, the credits in the original Mario RPG, or at least Mario Kart 64. Alright, I'm the Mutant Buster. This was another cool video game review video. Should I be reviewing Switch videos? I don't know what I'm doing. I just want my channel to live. Alright, subscribe to my channel. Bye. Thank you.